What's up, Go enthusiasts? It's the US Go Congress, the US Open Round 2 recap. This game was the day after round 1, of course. They're all played in the morning. They paired me up because I won round 1. You can see that video up there. Um, and so I got to play against Evan Tan, which is a great match. He's a AGA 6 Dan, who I believe will be 7 Dan soon. He's the Renmin Cup winner. That's the youth boys tournament. And he's 2-time Redmond Cup winner, 2 in a row. And he's very strong. He's one of the most talented young players in the United States, in North America. And yeah, I got to hang out with him later, actually. We watched the final round of the US Open, the top boards, which are played on different time. So we watched the Zichen versus Bill Lin decider game of the tournament with Evan Tan and a couple other guys. Yeah, this game was interesting, and I sort of skipped through the opening here. The openings are not that exciting. That Joseki in the upper left was played in the Katago versus Shinjinso series. I think it's locally good for white, but also globally it seemed well positioned here. I could be wrong. Anyway, I thought that the opening was good for white because of that. And then we played another Joseki in the upper right here. There were other Joseki choices here, which were probably better, but we don't know them. So in review, we were saying, oh, maybe I could have done this Joseki, but I don't know how it goes. And then he was like, oh, maybe I could have done this Joseki, but I don't know how it goes. That's the one variation we know. So that's what happened. And then, okay, so in the upper left, what you're supposed to be fighting over in that Joseki is the cutting point over here. And if white can take that cutting point and get an initiative, then black is really not good because white already has the corner territory, right? So the black move on the left side here was definitely a good move to make it so that if I would cut, he already has his base on the left side. And I'm actually feeling some pressure with my 2 stones on the left side. So I chose to attach. And the idea is that I'll over-concentrate the black left side so he doesn't have that much territory there. But of course, since I'm still kind of going to want to aim at the cutting point from the top side, then if I do cut, these exchanges are probably going to be bad for me, as it gave black more power in the center against the cut, and also more power on the left side to like save that group. It was probably not that wise to play the attach right away, and afterwards I played here. What I should have done is exchanged these cutting moves. So I thought if I play like this, okay, I read all the way to the end, like so, like so, like so. At this moment, this would be great if I could save those stones, but I can't. The fight is not going to be good if I try to run these stones out. It's just too heavy. I have too many weaknesses. The cutting point will not be easy to take. And so I thought, okay, then if I can't fight this right away, then I should hold it. I should conserve that Aji, and maybe I can do better in the future. But actually, I probably should have done this stuff right away, or at least done it up to a certain point, at least something like up through here. Because if I get black to confirm that he's going to block on the outside, that means that he can no longer put that much pressure on my group here. I'll have Sente moves like this, right? And later in the game, it's pretty likely actually that black is going to fight back against me because they're so thick right there. So normally this would be a little bit too much, but in this case, well, when black can push, maybe fight back first, but eventually cover, black is going to win that capture race pretty easily, right? And so that means that black couldn't actually do this, which is a bit of a rare situation. If black does choose to do that, then I need to know sort of right away, and then I can control my left side group. So if he plays like that, it's going to be more aggressive against my left side group. And if he plays like I was expecting, where he captures the stones more directly, this is less aggressive against my left side group. It gives me the Sente moves, it gives me more space, right? So I should have asked him about that right away, and then used that to determine what I should do on the board. But yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't know about that that kind of move as an asking move. I didn't know about that concept. So I just decided to like pass my turn doing something big, playing over here. There's another actually interesting moment going on. This is a really interesting moment. Apparently AI says I should attach here, and then after that, just try to cover. This seemed very strange. This is the kind of thing which I can read and I can judge, and my judgment says it's bad, so that I should not do that. But apparently AI just supports the judgment where you let black live on the right side by extending and just like taking all the territory that they can on the right side, and you get a wall in the center, and that's apparently better than what I'm doing. Now I understand what I'm doing is like a little over concentrated, and okay, I don't have the same amount of power in the center, but it seems so much better to leave a weak group for black than to give him a whole bunch of territory. So if you're a strong player and you understand the judgment of why I'm supposed to attach rather than to play any other normal move on the right side, yeah, I'd love to know. It's the kind of thing, once again, which um, I can see, but I cannot understand, which I always find good to ask. Anyway, after that, I chose to capture, which is the normal follow-up in the upper right, and it lets black live, like so, but the reason why I did that is so that I would get timing now to play on the right side and get more power to attack the black two stones again, and in the meantime, I got a lot of territory on the top side to make my position better. I think objectively it was probably a bit better to play this way rather than the tiger's mouth, because I'm not afraid of black ever following up with something like the cut, where this is just going to fix, like, I get a lot stronger on the outside, and he was already alive in the corner. So there was not really a great reason for me to play the tiger's mouth and directly try to stop clamps and as if I was claiming that the right side is my territory. It's clearly not my territory, right? I'm not trying to get territory with this, I'm trying to get power. And so I think Tiger's Mouth is not really fitting my idea. But anyway, he just ran up from the bottom side, and I ran out, and he played to jump with his two stones, take some power. I leaned on the bottom side. So this was my idea, is that if black follows me, it's over concentrated again, and it's going to build me power in order to attack those three stones on the right side in a better way. And this is an idea which black has to fight back against. There's no way that he can just accept this. So in the game, he played the diagonal on the left side. He knew probably that I was supposed to cut. I say probably, but he told me after the game without looking at Kataga. So he knew I was supposed to cut. It's, a clever moment from Evan. And so he tried to block me by playing this diagonal move, but it actually allows me to go to the most meaningful area on the board, and territory-wise, which is not here. I changed this first, doesn't do anything. Just stops him from blocking on the bottom side anymore, but it's here. So the reason why I'm still okay, even though he plays on the left side, is that this corner, when he played the knight's move back rather than the diagonal, it's pretty accessible for white to break all the territory there. And so, yeah, when I take the territory, in the game we played the most simple variation like this. It's really, really big for white. Black still wants to take care of those four stones on the bottom side, so we played here. And then I got Sente to continue to attack the group on the right side. So overall, that didn't go so bad for me. There were some interesting moments here where there could have been more intense fighting. So if black would have Atari'd here, I read this is going to be good for me, because I read it's going to go like this, and when black connects here. In this case, the cut is what's normally supposed to be good, but he cannot actually continue and sort of break my shape because he's going to be shorted of liberties. So that cut is a lot worse than it normally is, and it would actually be better for black to play just a tiger's mouth now. So I thought, okay, then that means that my outside must be relatively efficient, and I could just keep playing, keep attacking, should be fine. And that's true. So this would have been good for white, but what I missed is that there's a moment there where black can actually cut first before connecting. Even though I can try to connect like this, black can simply connect, and white cannot make the same kind of cover shape because black has a cut here. And so actually, the shape that I have on the left side is not objectively strong. It was just sort of working in the other variation. So if black makes this, it's a very odd shape, unusual shape on the bottom left corner. Well, it's just a different shape that's going to cause me to fight. So I sort of need to save these two stones, and it's kind of hard to say exactly how this fighting will continue. I mean, there's lots of things that can happen, but it seems like white's 5 stones on the left side are quite thin, right? And the black stones in the center are not going to get surrounded, so white actually has a tough job to do here to keep this up. I can't easily kill the corner without dying first with one of my outside groups. So that was an interesting moment. I never even considered that cut timing could be possible, and I was sort of fortunate Evan, I think, also didn't consider that timing possible and just backed off and gave me the corner. So I got a pretty big, sizable corner. But actually, it wasn't even good that I exchanged the tiger's mouth, I think. Probably I would have been better off playing here, because if he plays like this, then I can get Sente to attack right away, and I don't have to worry about being like thin over here. I already had the outside thickness like this. So the tiger's mouth is kind of a dubious thing to ask for in the first place. And so I sort of got away with something that I wasn't even supposed to get like to ask for. Yeah. Anyway, in the game I continue with the attack here. I think this attack is a good move. It means that um, basically black has a golden group situation here. I talk about this sometimes where black has only one weak group, the only weak group on the board. And so wherever I play, he can play on that weak group, and he can claim, well, I played a move in the weaker area because his group is the only weak thing on the board, right? I can't possibly have played in a weaker area than him. And so he changed the balance of strength, the balance of power more than I did. And for me to sort of contest that, I have to claim that I changed the balance of territory more, which can be very awkward in positions like this one. Where am I going to go change the balance of territory that's so overwhelming, right? It's hard to find. So usually you have to find that other balance in the form of other types of weaknesses, other types of potential territory. So this one, what it means is that I'm going to change this golden group situation from one where he just generically gains to one where we're at least going to be contesting cuts, right? So I'm accessing his cuts. It's not like I can really take them right away, but the fact that I'm aiming at them gives me ways to threaten that I could gain in the fighting. So I think it's a good way to handle the opponent's golden group situation, so long as I make sure I only commit when I would actually gain for me in the future. So when he plays like this, I could have immediately tried to do something like peep and cut, but these commits would all not be getting me a large enough profit. And so I decided to answer. Then the answering method is a little bit tricky. I don't think I answered well when I played this one. So this just fills the liberty of the white stones in order to confirm that it's solidly connected. Unnecessary. I can just do this later. And what it did is it made it so that I'm able to play this knight's move to cover. Not really cover, but aim at covering and force, if he would run out, him to expose an additional cutting point weakness for me. It's not so bad, but it could have been more efficient here if I had simply played to answer solidly, which is something that I thought about as well. If you answer solidly like this, then it means that you really don't have to worry about cutting threats or anything. But of course, black can run freely, right? The benefit to white is that I'm actually making a good shape, where I'm like capturing something, covering something. And in the game, what I did is I sort of made some thin, kind of bad shapes, like the empty triangle, not that great. And so this way is like working harder, but I can just achieve something right away. It would probably make my game easier. And so in the game, when I played like this, he decided he had to save his group somehow. He decided to try to press for the right side territory, save it underneath. So I Haned. And I found this quite annoying because when he extends back, then he's threatening, of course, to play something like Hane and control a lot of territory on the right side. But it's also impossible for me to touch the weaknesses in the center. So I thought, it really sucks, but I want to renew both of these problems for black. And so I connected here. This is not a good move, though. And I know it's not a good move. This is so obviously overconcentrated, right? But it does renew the threats, so it makes black have something of a hard time as well. I should have not done that. Even if it can make black have a hard time, in the local area, when I know it's a bad idea, you can make black have a hard time just by prolonging the game and being patient. So, I could come back to even fix here, would be better, or I could come back to grow the top side, however I want to grow it over there. And yeah, if I'm trying to grow some large area elsewhere and he's like, oh, but I won the local fight here, then I need to just be able to say, oh, I accept that. You can win that local fight, and I'm going to gain elsewhere. I'm going to gain in the other areas of the board, whether it's here or whatever, right? And this would have been a much more coherent way for me to play the game. But in the game, I played like this. So this is belligerent. I'm really telling him, answer me, do something. And so he played this one, which is not maybe the most effective way to save the group. He was looking at the Shortage of Liberties weaknesses that he can give my Tiger's Mouth shape, which are real weaknesses, but it gave me a chance to surround him and then test him on how exactly he was going to save this group when he used the most obvious method of connecting under to get all that territory. Locally, that was nice territorially, but globally, it gave me more power on the outside so that when I play like this, I'm actually like surrounding a significant area on the top. So yeah, I gave him stuff on the right, but the top sort of matches it. It wasn't that bad for me. Still, I kind of regret. I wish I had put the pressure on. I was thinking really hard about whether I want to descend or play here. The problem with these moves, like this one is threatening to make it ko for life in the upper right corner. He's not supposed to answer that. It's a little too small. And so he would definitely be running out. And I don't know exactly how this sequence will go, but something along these lines where he's running out. I have a Co for life in the upper right corner that I can activate. Um, it would have been a different type of game than the golden group game, and it might have been easier for me. Um, it just gives him like a little bit more pressure. I think it would have been better that way because, especially, he was saying after the game he would probably have wanted to answer to cover that co, which I would be starting quickly. But if he had answered and then I cover like this, then he has a much trickier time taking care of this group. It doesn't actually mean I'm objectively going to gain more, but this makes the game harder for black if he would answer and I do get to cover and still make it a Sumego that he has to solve. So I wish I had done it this way instead. And yeah, the way that I played was sort of a little straightforward, just allowing him to save underneath, then all of his troubles are over, right? Except for the troubles where I get another area, which is, real troubles. But um, stronger players pack more density into their game, and this is kind of one of the moments where a stronger player would have been able to make that fight interesting while the topside is going on, instead of having it resolve to lead to the topside right away. Anyway, after that, he pushed here, which meant that he was trying to attack my bottom left corner group and get territory, and he wasn't concerned about the Moyo right away. But yeah, I thought I could play like this and try to expand the center by putting pressure on his bottom side group. And so this was hopefully also going to give me some power to take care of my bottom left. In the game, he played the push here, and I learned something as we played this variation that I had never known about before. So in the game, I played the jump, which is sort of taken for granted that this is going to be okay, but it was not okay because he played the push, and when I answered, he played here, and black gained. So what happened is that in the course of that sequence, he was still secure on the bottom side. What I was supposed to gain was power in the center. So in theory, after playing like that, now I'm supposed to be able to cover this part. But it's just not true that I can do that. It's not possible. Because what black actually gained is a route through here, which is also putting pressure that he can make cutting points actually exist on the right side, where I haven't ever cleaned that shape up. It's totally possible in the future. Black may consider to play a move like, well, in the game, yeah, I played here, and then black could consider to play a move like this one, and I might have to answer and play a move out here, and he can put pressure on my 2 stones, on my cutting points, on my whole group here. It can actually be very dangerous for white. And so, although I thought, okay, I gained power in the center off of a sequence like this, if the opponent gets movement through the center that they didn't have before, they're the one who gained, right? Like black actually is the one who gained movement through the center, and they also kept what they had before. So it was a very bad sequence for white. And what I was supposed to do instead is Hane, like this. So if I Hane, then if he cuts, then I can put pressure. He could always connect under with G18. Same thing if I would play bump in the game rather than connect here. If I bumped, then it would be G18, same thing, not good. But in this case, I would be able to cover those 2 stones, attack a new group like that. This would have been very effective for white. And so when I block like this actually puts him under serious pressure because his cut gets him split. He could answer like this, but now you can see movement actually is more controlled for white. So this is a variation where I do genuinely gain. As black can no longer move that way, it's only white who is on top of black on the bottom side. That's what you're actually fighting for when you play this kind of shoulder hit. And so I was just sort of playing moves that generally gesture at that kind of thing, and in many cases those would be accurate moves. In this case, because I have some thinness on the right side, because the left side is not a direction where it's important to run to at all, it just objectively lost a lot of value to play like this. And so I'm behind. I played like so. Yeah, I had a feeling I was behind at this moment, but when you're behind and you have a area which you can continue to try to grow, you're never that behind. You always still have a chance. So I still had hope in this game, a lot of hope, as well I should. It's not a big gap, something like black by 2 points. And black played the Hana here. Now, apparently, I should not actually answer to this Hane. So I could, for example, play to continue to grow in the center, but to me it's so natural to answer like this, even though it gives black that little bit of extra territory on the left side. And then when this one happened again, I shouldn't really answer. I could play this way instead, for example, but it's so unnatural to allow them to capture extra points, like so. I did not feel comfortable. And this kind of a variation, I thought, okay, I should just accept, and I should be getting center power. But the problem with this, with all of this stuff, is that it can lose me time. So when eventually I connect like so, then he has the time to play to the top side first and to play into the center first, since I'm supposed to answer. And so the reason why I could have played away and done some crazy things when he plays this Hane is that it really is very urgent when you're covering a Moyo, particularly with a lot of thin shapes like I have. I have very thin shape on the right side over here. There's many cuts. These are knights move, like large knights move, large knights move, knights move, cutting point here. I'm a very, very thin shape, particularly on the outside of my Moyo in that box. So it was extra important to get to cover over there. Whoever got to play over there first, if I could play, I could get all the points and more importantly, cover all the cutting points so that he can't really make a good use out of them. Now, on the other hand, when he gets there, and they're all going to be exposed. So, he should be able to get value out of them even if he doesn't cut, as long as he forces me to answer later in the future. That's why this moment was so critical, that I should get very, very quick, very fast at this moment. I was not so fast. I didn't have the same kind of urgency. And yeah, so therefore, he ended up with the first move, and he decided to play it on the second line over here. And it's testing me how exactly I want to answer and how I want to fix my own territory. It's just so big to allow the follow-up. So I should answer somehow. In the game, I played the bump here. Obviously, if I played elsewhere, then this stuff is coming, right? It's very painful. I don't want to allow him to capture a stone. It's very hard to block all of this stuff because he's getting territory while I'm getting a smaller part of my territory. And furthermore, there's still this cutting point issue that does still exist. And I was sort of building while looking at it, aiming at it. I couldn't ever really cut because the left side was so strong from my prior mistake earlier. But it's still something that I can use. So in the game, when I played this bump, the idea was that I'm getting tempo. When I play like this, black is pushed into my territory, but I get the next move over here, which I thought was aiming sort of directly at the cut, but he could continue to reduce like this. And I can't really cut right now because I'm not going to be able to kill the top side or really attack the left side. So it was a mistake, actually. What I should have done is just answered like this. It's the most basic move, right? Everybody can think of this answer. I was trying to play speedier here because I did know it's very fast to cover this kind of thing. But the point in this case is that when I tried to play speedier, I actually gave him more resources to take care of the most important resource, which is his own strength, as he tries to reduce me. And so this kind of idea where you bump and you push your opponent into your own territory, I knew that that isn't, objectively speaking, a good idea. I still went for it anyway because I wanted the speed. So objectively, like locally, I lose a lot of value locally, and I have to pay that back. This kind of move is sort of meh. It's not going to pay it back. It's just an average move in the center of the board. If I wanted to do something, I needed to at least pretend it's special, like covering this movement and then saying this is special and it helps me take the entire center. At least this could make sense. The way that I did it, it's not really possible for this area to be more special than all of the other areas. I was getting like nervous about my bottom left group or something, and it was really bad. So this is sort of like my last major chance in the game. If I played like this and the game is still within 2 points, it's definitely winnable for white. Black can come in somehow like this, then maybe white fixes this area. Black can reduce the center area, but they have to be careful to also fix the cutting point on the left side, since this cave 3 does a good job of keeping black without 2 eyes on the top. And the game would just go on. It would probably become an endgame. I do actually trust my endgame these days, so I think I would have had a chance to win. But in the game, when I played like this, yeah, this was really bad because when black pushes through here, all of the cutting points against my groups on the bottom side are all active. And it's really, really hard for me to cover the bottom, which is kind of what I wanted to do, and at the same time not die. Because the 3 stones are weak, the right side is weak. I played the Hane like this, and he just peeped first. which I could answer like so, which actually makes me a lot thicker. I like that exchange for white, but he knew that that meant now the cut can come. And so the reason why he did this is so that if I would save over here, that stone should be useful in the ensuing fighting. There's a lot of ways that he can do this. I guess a basic way is to just push and push. He has a threat where he can extend here. I probably should answer, and then to play like that. And you can see white is kind of collapsing. I mean, I can hold it for a moment, but there's a lot of weaknesses here. Maybe I can hold and connect, but as black is like breaking through the center, um, white is not going to be winning this game. Like black is making a use out of each of the white cutting points, gathering territory, breaking through. Will still push through here. White is far behind in terms of actual territory. I needed to like really crystallize something in the center. So I thought, okay, well maybe I can do that if I sacrifice the 3 stones. I played like this, and here, honestly, this wasn't even necessarily going to fail if I had just done it better. So instead of extending up, basically I emphasized too much about this center territory, which is right next to his thickness. That's really impossible to take. If I had played like this instead, and eventually if I come back to block, and I can actually get this kind of block in Sente, which could happen because of the weakness here, I can get that kind of block in Sente, and then I can come back and I can like cover here. I do have real chances of still winning the game. I just need to find some way that I can actually like cover everything. And that involves blocking the top side and using the cutting point most of the time. You have to get that done. I did not manage to get that done in the game. So at this point, I like knew I'm far behind. Um, it's not even that far, actually. It's still, if I would play that other way, it's still like 3 points or so. So what I hoped was that if I saved this group on the bottom left, then he would try to punch into my area, and then I would have a target to attack, and I could use the short liberties of these 3 stones to like cut and kill that stone at 133. Unfortunately for me, this is like what you do when you're better at reading than the opponent is you nudge them to come in, and then you show that you're stronger at reading. Evan, he said after the game, well, my strongest skill is reading as a player. And I was like, oh, really? Oh, then I definitely shouldn't play like this. I would like to play Evan again, actually. This game was fun, and I think our future games would be fun. Anyway, I realized I couldn't cut, so I had to do some stupid stuff to just sort of protect myself. But yeah, this is clearly not working. It would have been better to block here, apparently, but it means I'm gonna basically die in the center with something. So yeah, everything was not good. And so in the game, he played like this. He's just asking me to answer, answer, answer. And of course, I can't do that if I want to win the game. So I tried to resist like this, but then the Hane was just working. There's nothing really I can do. If I block, then he can push that Sente. I can't play this way because he can cut as long as he gets any Sente move that saves his ladder, which is pretty easy. So I'm gonna have to answer like this, and then he can directly come back to cover my 3 stones here. I think I was reading this one in the game. It's not even like he has to do it um, by capturing me. Just a squeeze like this is already more than enough. You can see some variation like this could totally happen, and in the end, it's completely over for white, right? I've lost all my territory. He managed to live on the top side in Sente, and he's even counterattacking my stones on the left while reducing my area. It's completely unacceptable. So I like read everything. And I was like, okay, this just doesn't work. Let me do something else. But the something else isn't working either. And I stopped recording the moves in a moment here. I kept playing for a while because I was like, you know, if I did manage to make something happen later in the game, then that would be great. That would be YouTube content. That would be, you know, and it would be very sad if I resigned and it turned out that the game was still only like 5 points or something like that. I made sure that I tried everything and that I was losing by properly a bajillion points before I resigned. Apologies to Evan, but it's the life of a content creator. I gotta do that. Anyway, it was a really fun game. So the major like losing part for me was that I had gotten behind in the general fighting of the game, right? And so because I got behind, that's why I thought, okay, I'm behind a little bit. I'm actually sensitive enough to know when I'm behind by a couple points. And I didn't used to be, so I think this is a moment where I've improved a bit as a player. But anyway, even if I know I'm behind by a couple points, you can see I'm not really used to having that kind of a judgment. So it sometimes will make me act up and do something a little stupid like this. In the future, when I know I'm behind by a couple points, I will continue to try to play reasonably in a way that I expect that I could gain it back, but not in a way where I'm just straight up like um, throwing objective advantage away to try to make the game into one where I think I could gain after that. That's sort of what I did here, right? And so I'm not going to do that in the future. I will try to be urgent, but this is the kind of moment where um, simply answering like this actually already gives a black a lot more pressure than I mean, from Black's perspective, it's very free to be like, oh, I'll gain a little more, and then I'll handle whatever happens next. I'll continue to fight. So from Evan's perspective, I made the game easier on him by losing some value, and then it gives him more wiggle room, right, for what he can do in the future. So you don't want to give the opponent more wiggle room. It's one thing to like encourage them to overplay, but you don't want to lose enough value that they can then choose to underplay, and basically they don't have to contest you afterwards. So in the game, I did continue to contest him, but I was just like losing the contest. And yeah, this move may be final losing move. We're at least here. I can at least do something, but this is still coming. And yeah, in this case, what I would be trying to do is like combine the top side potential group's weakness with this one stone's potential group's weakness. And so if I could cut and make it so that those two fights were like flowing into each other, then maybe I would have a chance. But in the game, I didn't have that chance. Mostly, the reason why I lost this game is a mature reason. I lost because I was losing in the beginning, and I had just been outfought before that. And that came from all sorts of different situations. Moments like where I jumped instead of playing the Hane, moments where I chose not to descend and test him about the life and death of a Ko in concert with the weak group on the right side, and moments like when I played this Connect, sort of stubbornly holding on to the type of pressure I'd been applying before instead of moving that type of pressure to a new one as the game, um, as the game ought to be changed. So yeah, I actually really feel like I learned a lot from this game. I feel like if I could play Evan again, I'll play better. I'll give him more pressure. You never know. Maybe I won't, but yeah, this game was a fun game to lose as they go. I mean, I felt like I was actually controlling my side of the story, like controlling the things that I was saying a little more than usual. Most of the time, I'll play moves and be like, "That's a good move," but not really understand what I'm heading towards. I sort of understood the story that I was telling here. It was just not a good enough story to be Evan. So a really well played game from him. It was a lot of fun. And so in round 3, because I lost to Evan, I then got paired down against the Girls Cup winner, the Girls Youth Championship winner. I'll see you tomorrow for my recap of that game. Bye-bye.